think I'm on. Am I on now? Yeah, there I am. Thank you, Jeanette. And everybody here that was singing. That's actually one of my favorite songs. I'm glad we sang it today. Thank you. Now I would like to invite Reverend Patricia Keel to come up and give us our message today. The title of the message is The Gardener's Faith, and she's going to be talking about trusting the process of growth, encouraging our faith in unseen possibilities as we set our intentions. Welcome, Reverend Patricia.
We're going to use the pathways. You haven't heard me yet. You're clapping maybe too soon. I don't know. So, what a great cover. Isn't this great? I love this. Planting the seeds of possibility, setting intentions, and preparing the soil for new beginnings. That's our January focus. And I have to confess, sometime in December, I decided I wanted to create a theme for the whole year and know what I was going to be talking about for 12 months. Of course, everything's open to change. You know, Charles Fillmore, who's co-founder of Unity, always said, I reserve the right to change my mind. So even when I did this, I had in the back of mind, well, if it doesn't work, it's fine. But I used ChatGPT, which I use a lot, instead of Google. And I kind of told ChatGPT what I was looking to do, and I got a whole plan for the entire year. And this is part of the plan right here, that we're talking about planting seeds. And, you know, it's kind of interesting how the universe works. I was talking to Ken this morning, and Elaine is in the hospital, and she took a fall. And he was saying, oh, there's so many synchronicities and all these things happening. And I realized when we are open to that, that's kind of what shows up. So I had a little synchronicity as I was preparing for this talk, because the whole idea of the gardener's faith is a wonderful metaphor for us to use. But I loved underneath that the idea of trusting in the process of growth. Not just any old process, but the process of growth. So I thought, I'm going to take a look at what Charles Fillmore has to say. And again, for those of you who are new to Unity, Charles Fillmore and his wife, Myrtle Fillmore, were the co-founders of Unity over 100 years ago, basically as a result of his spiritual study and meditation and her physical healing in the body. She had a massive healing from tuberculosis in her 30s and went on to live in her 80s without tuberculosis. So I went to this wonderful book, which I can't imagine somebody compiling. It's called a concordance. And I don't know if you know what a concordance is. It's a way that you can look up a word. And in this case, I looked up growth, because I thought I really want to focus, what's growth? What did Charles Fillmore say about growth? And what a concordance does is it gives you the books that Charles Fillmore has ever said anything about growth in. I mean, it's amazing that somebody did the research, because this was not ChatGPT doing this. This was people doing this. So I went to growth, and one of the first things that it gave me was this book that Charles wrote, which I think has a very interesting title. It's called The Atom Smashing Power of Mind. Is that a cool title, right? The Atom Smashing Power of Mind. So I went there, and right in there, he has a chapter. The seed is the word. And I'm like, okay, I'm on the right path here. This is good. I'm just like, you know, it's like the breadcrumb following about how is this going to unfold for us today. So I'd like to share a piece of this reading and then kind of go back and take a look at some of the things that we might anchor in our life when we're looking at this idea of trusting the process of growth and how we can have the faith of a gardener. So are you good with that if I read? I don't normally read too much, but I just thought he was so specific in how he talked about this. He says, every idea is a seed. and will bring forth according to its character, modified somewhat by the kind of mind soil in which it is planted. Very powerful statement. Every idea is a seed, and it will bring forth according to its character, modified by the kind of mind soil in which it is planted. There is a law of growth in mind parallel with that of earth. A thistle seed will always produce thistles. Say that with me. Thistle seed, a thistle seed. Okay, so we got the thistle part. And what is a thistle? What kind of thought might be a thistle seed thought? It could be sharp. It could be your anger. It could be resentment. It could be depression, sadness. It could be those things that kind of cause us pain, right? Thistle seed. Regardless of the character of the soil, if it's a thistle seed, you're going to get thistles. A low ideal will likewise work out low conditions in a high type of mind. Oops, I'll turn 2 pages here. You may be a giant in strength today, but if you get into your mind the thought of sickness, it will bring you down as surely as if you were a weakling. So with every thought that finds lodgment and at the same time credence in your mind, it will produce fruit of its kind just as surely as will the material seed planting in the earth. We can kind of get this, right? It seems logical, sort of, except maybe not. Okay. It goes through a similar process of growth. It does not always spring forth at once and rapidly come to fruition, but it goes through a methodical series of changes from inertness to tiny sprout, way deep down in consciousness where it is not observed. Where it is not observed by the external thinking mind. In due course, it sends out a shoot in the direction of external consciousness, which finally comes to the surface in some discord or some harmony. The time of planting is usually so remote that he who knows the law of growth from thought to think cannot even remember when he sowed the seeds that are manifest in his consciousness as thistles. Think about that in your own life. It shows up and you don't even remember how that got there. How did this situation happen? But it might have been planted so long ago that you're not even really conscious of it. When told that certain thoughts have produced certain effects, in his case, the patient will invariably respond, "But I was not thinking those thoughts." One of the first lessons to be learned by the student of metaphysics, that is you. If you're here, you are a student of metaphysics. Doesn't mean we're masters, but we're students, we're learning. And when we're talking about metaphysics, we're talking about that which is above and beyond the physical. We're talking about things in the invisible realm, things in the realm of spirit. One of the first lessons to be learned by the student of metaphysics is that the seed is the word. The next is that this kind of seed is hid in the darkness of the mind, where it germinates, sprouts, and comes into visibility with all the scientific accuracy of detail of the ordinary plant. The fruit is a living organism, too, and has the power to throw off seeds that find lodgment and produce crops in other receptive minds. That's where I'm talking about. If you carry positive thoughts, you're literally planting seeds that other people can experience. You're planting seeds in their mind at the same time. Finally, this is what Fillmore says. But each man or woman is a gardener who has absolute charge of his mind and can determine just what kind of seed shall be planted in his or her domain. What she says, or he says, is law in the garden of which he or she has control. If she or he is lax, shiftless, and ignorant of his privileges, he or she may let the thistle seeds from foolish minds blow over his fence and take root in his garden. But it is not at all necessary. By this his simple word of command, he or she can protect the domain from all intruders. Not all people know this. Nevertheless, it is true. So this idea, I love this idea that we have a fence, and sometimes we let those thistle seeds that are out in the world, people would talk about it as kind of collective consciousness. We kind of let them get caught in our garden. So was that an interesting read from Charles Fillmore? Yes. I thought it was a really great read. So the thing about this is that's so interesting to me is, we've heard the story, the Bible story, about throwing the seeds, and a man throws the seeds out, and some of the seeds get caught by birds. The bird, like they're in the air, and the birds come, and the seeds are gone, so they never even hit the ground. Other seeds end up falling on rocky soil, and they might get a little bit of a root, but they don't grow to be very big, and they might not even survive. It's only the seeds that are planted in the very fertile soil that tend to grow and thrive and become healthy plants and basically bear fruit. So these three different kinds of ways that we can plant our seed is an important thing for us to be aware of. And I thought this was, the more I was reading Fillmore and kind of beginning to understand what he's talking about here, the more I realized that our understanding of these basic teachings that we have in the beginning, we talk about, Starr went over them. There's only one presence and one power. When I had a church in Berkeley, and actually in the church in Marin that I went to for many years, and also in Palo Alto, we always said the same statement every Sunday. The statement is, there is only one presence and one power, active in my life and in the universe. God the good, in all, through all, and over all. And anchoring that awareness that there's only one presence and one power that's active in the life, all life, and in me. It's in the universe, and it's also in me. It's the only power. It's a power and a presence of good. In all, through all, and over all. That's the kernel of truth that we need to understand when we're talking about planting a seed. That's the soil. The soil is the consciousness that each one of us carry about who we are as spiritual beings. What did Myrtle Fillmore say when she went to that lecture? She heard, I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness. Now, we don't need to necessarily have sickness to carry that same consciousness, which is that we as human beings are inheriting the fullness of the divine grace, the divine energy, and the divine power. And what Charles Fillmore is talking about in this book, The Atom-Smashing Power of Mind, and many other books that he talks about, is how important it is for us to begin to really claim the truth of who we are as spiritual beings. That is the power, that is the energy that allows whatever seed we have, that's the soil, that allows the seed that we have planted, the divine idea that we have planted, to actually grow and flourish. And yes, we need to water it, and it needs sun, and all of those other pieces of metaphor. But the key thing that Fillmore is reminding us of over and over again, and again, it's part of the teachings that we get from Jesus. The Father and I are one. Jesus said that, right? The Father and I are one. He wasn't just saying the Father and I are one to the people who are around him who believed him. He's talking about people who are Muslim, who are Jewish, who are Hindu, people of no faith. The Father and I are one, meaning that the presence and power, the one presence and one power of the divine, indwells all human life. And when we can anchor that in and understand that literally that consciousness, that claiming, that awareness, that's the soil that we plant our ideas in. That's where we put our intentions. If we don't put it there, and again, if we don't put it in that consciousness that we carry the presence and the power, We're literally floating like a form of an idea. You know, it was interesting in this book, he talks about an acorn. And he basically says that the acorn is not the tree. You know, we think of inside the acorn is this little tiny tree. He says it's not really that, it's the form. And that's what our seeds are. If we think about a seed is like an idea, it's a divine idea, it's an image of something. But it has to be planted in that field of consciousness that we carry, that all things are possible, that we have the power of faith, that we can trust in this goodness of the divine, that we have spiritual strength, that we have the wisdom to understand how do we show up in the world? What's our next thing to do in order to manifest whatever that form of that divine idea is? So it literally takes two things. This idea of growth and growth in consciousness, growth into whatever it is we want to co-create in the world. It takes the seed idea, it takes a divine idea, but it also takes our awareness of the presence of God moving in and through us all the time. Which means that we need to cultivate that presence, don't we? We need to cultivate it. What did Charles Fillmore do? He sat in the silence for hours all day long. I'm not saying that you need to do that, but we need to very intentionally be willing to cultivate that relationship that our human nature has with that which is greater than us, that invisible nature of presence that is the divine nature. So we meditate, don't we? We pray. We hold the presence and power of good before us. So I really want to invite us this year. I want to invite us as a year-long awareness to become conscious of the divine ideas that we are planting. Because some of the ideas we might think are divine ideas might not really be divine ideas. Those might be those ideas that the birds carry away, you know, or they might be the ideas that have very, very shallow roots because the soil is not fully embodying the presence and power of the God life that each one of us are. You know, one of the other things that we learn when we read the Bible and we understand the teachings, we understand that we literally are the hands and feet of the divine. It's up to us to do what is being called forth in the world, to create. We create or we destroy. There's not a lot of energy in that maintenance place. And as a community, we've been doing very slowly kind of recreating ourselves, and we're growing a little bit in many different ways, mainly in consciousness, I believe. But it's important for us to be aware of that. At any point in time, we're either kind of depleting our energy, losing our energy, things are falling away, or we're in that awareness of the fertile ground of connection that we have with divine life, and things are expanding. So I was thinking about the people in our community. We have a number of people in our community who've been dealing with physical challenges. And you know, look around, there's a few exceptions here, but we're not a young group, let's just say that. You know, we're wise in many ways, but there's this quality I think that we need to have of trusting the process of growth as we age in our wisdom, in our inner wisdom, and in our consciousness of the presence of God, but also as we age in our physical bodies, that we have to be willing to claim that life of God in the physical body in the same way we claim it in consciousness to be able to plant ideas. And one of the things I wanted to do today was to really anchor that awareness, that we take a stand for the presence and power of the God life within us, that extraordinary creative power, because that's what the fertile soil is. That's what we're standing on when we're in the consciousness of God. And whatever seed we plant, you know, if we were to ask everyone here to write, what's one intention you have for the year? I bet we would have, 30 different intentions, 30 different seeds, and maybe some of us have multiple things that we want to plant. And if we would take a look, and I invite you to do this later on in the next, in the coming days and weeks, take a look at what are those things that you are calling forth in your life and in the world in this year of 2025. Are there thistles involved in some of these things? Do you not have the strong belief in the presence and power of the divine within you to be able to be part of the co-creating whatever it is that is your intention, that seed? How are you linked to that in terms of the soil of consciousness that you're bringing to your divine ideas, to your intentions, to your resolutions, if they're that? And whether it's something about healing in the physical body, or shifting in a relationship so that there's more of a sense of connection and love, or maybe it's something in your work. Even if we're retired, we're always in process of being God's hands and feet in the world. So taking a look at that and seeing how your consciousness is connected to what it is that you are called to co-create in the world, because you are called for a reason. We don't get these little ideas about something that we think we're supposed to do just willy-nilly. They come to us out of the mind and the heart of God. And the ones that are really for us to do, we can be really clear that what they are. We can be clear in our meditation time, in our prayer time, and we can ask for support and help. And just like Elaine and Ken were saying, the synchronicities start happening because the fertile ground is there. So I want to do a little exercise with everyone. And if you're able, you don't have to do this, but if you're able, I'd like you to just stand up and maybe hold on to the chair in front of you. You can come. Yeah. Hold on to that chair, and I want you to just take a moment, first closing your eyes and just feeling into it. Do you take a stand for the presence and the power of God within you? Can you feel that you are indeed a child of God, an adult of God, an elder of God? Can you hold on to that in your fullness of your being? Just take a moment and be still with that. There's only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God the good in all, through all, and over all. The Father and I are one. I am one with infinite life, infinite love, infinite power, infinite light. My strength is the strength of the presence of God. I claim wisdom beyond my years. I'm connected to my heart, and love flows through me as I harmonize my relationships. I am one with the presence and the power of God. Just feel into that for yourself. And taking a deep breath, and just gently, when you're ready to open your eyes, continuing to hold on. I've asked Star, who is a teacher in many ways, because we are a community of older people, most of us, and we've had a few people who've been taking falls lately. I thought it would be really important for us to be present to our own inner sense of balance in the body as we claim our connection with the divine. So I'd like you all to hold on to something too. Yeah, so go ahead and yeah.
My turn. Can you turn me on? Okay, thank you. Okay. Talking about balance, most of when you were talking about the people that have hurt themselves, it seems like they've been falls. And there is as we grow older, our sense of balance deteriorates. But there are things we can do to make it better. So I'd like to just give you a little bit of a test to see how your balance is. And I want you to hold on and just try and stand on one foot and see if you can stay there for 10 seconds. And And if you can let go, so much the better. If you can't, that's okay too. But this is something that you can practice at home. You know, I try and do it just when I'm brushing my teeth. You know, I'll brush my teeth and try and stand on one foot, and then I'll switch your feet and switch to the other side. And if you can't do that for 10 seconds, the statistics show that you are a fall risk. So you can make it better. Practice will make it better. So a very simple thing to do. Try and stand on one foot, 10 seconds, hold on if you need to, let go, and then try and do it on each foot. Okay.
Thanks, But I couldn't go beyond the idea of trusting the process without also allowing us to trust the process of our physical bodies. So I'm going to invite you to turn the lights out. We'll have a meditation right now. Thank you. So I invite you to close your eyes. And again, feeling the presence of the divine within and without. Knowing that the being that we are has two aspects, both the invisible and the visible, the abstract and the concrete. We could call it the spiritual and the material. And in this moment, I invite you to bring your awareness to the presence as you know that presence, the presence of Spirit of God, the divine presence, the whole presence of God, the light, the higher power that connects you to all that is. And bring your awareness right into your heart, feeling your body slowing down, becoming stiller, more still and quiet. And embracing that quality of divine presence. The energy that indwells you as the creative energy of God. The energy that outpictures as faith and imagination or will and understanding, these 12 powers. The power of zeal helps us take action, and the power of power that allows us to speak the word. We carry with us the energy of love, connecting and harmonizing our life, and the power of wisdom to make right choices and discern what is true. We carry also the power of divine order, first the blade and then the ear. We also carry the power of strength as persistence, the ability to keep on keeping on. And we carry the power to say no, to let go and eliminate things that no longer serve us, let go of those thistles in mind. And we carry the power to say yes to life. Yes to the life of God that indwells each one of us. So in this moment, feel what it feels like to be the presence and the power. Breathe into that presence as yourself, as you, as the I am of consciousness. And offering a deep sense of gratitude for the blessings of this wisdom from Charles Fillmore and beyond. Say yes to carrying forward this presence as you move about the rest of the day, into the weeks and months ahead, planting seeds, planting ideas into the fertile ground of your spiritual consciousness, knowing that you are ever present in the mind and the heart of God. You are God's hands and feet in the world. For this blessing, offer your gratitude. I say thank you to Mother, Father, Creator of all that is, and so it is. And gently taking a deep breath and bringing your awareness back into this beautiful physical body you've been gifted with this go-round. You can gently open your eyes, come back into this room.